Welcome back, day 15 ReactJS, keeping component pure challenge. Alright, let's start with challenge. So today's challenge is fix a broken clock. What is that? Fix a broken clock. This component tries this component tries to set h1 class class name is night, class to night during the time from midnight to 6 hours in morning and day at the all other time. However, it doesn't work. Can you fix this component? Yes. You can verify whether your solution works by temporarily changing the computer time zone. When the current time is between midnight and 6 in morning, the clock should be invented inverted color. Okay, let's check what's the problem here. Okay, there is a component named clock. This is a main component because this is using export default. All right, and taking a props as a time, and this time is coming from outside. It means that someone is calling this component clock and sending the current time of their zone. All right, so let time equals to get hours, and in hours there is a time hour. Like what is that? Like 12, 13, or even 6, 4, 5, 6, whatever the time between 1 to 24. Or okay, if r is greater than 0 and less than equals to 6, then get एलिमेंट करेंगे और टाइम का जो क्लास नेम होगा एंड क्लास टाइम इक्वल्स टू नाइट. और जैसे मैं नाइट करूंगा तो वहां पर कुछ कलर चेंज करना होगा. जो भी CSS यहाँ पर काम करेगा दे विल वर्क हियर, एंड एट दैट टाइम माय क्लास नेम विल बी नाइट. ऑलराइट, एंड इफ अगर मेरा आवर्स 0 से लेकर 6 आवर्स के बीच में नहीं है, इट्स मीन दैट दैट्स अ डे टाइम. देन माय CSS विल वर्क हियर फॉर डे. एंड रिटर्न क्या करेगा मेरा? टाइम डॉट लोकल टाइम स्ट्रिंग कर देगा. देन return the id is time, और इस टाइम की जो टाइम डॉट लोकल टाइम स्ट्रिंग local time of this. What is that? If ours is less than, okay, ओके, देन हम इस टाइम का जो लोकल टाइम स्ट्रिंग है उसको मैं यहाँ से सेंड कर दूंगा. और ये जो चीज़ है जो यहाँ पे टाइम है ना, इस आईडी के बेसिस पे जो मेरी CSS यूज हो रही होगी ना, उस CSS का मैं चेंज करूंगा और उसका मैं क्लास नेम चेंज कर रहा हूँ. बट ब्रो, क्लास नेम इक्वल्स टू नाइट कर रहा है, then it's not going to changing the CSS here. But here we are not using any kind of any kind of ID, but we are going to input the like dom dot get element ID time. okay, यहाँ पर ये इस h1 टैग को टारगेट करेगा at this point. After that what we are saying like class name equals to dot class name equals to night. It's mean that we are creating the class name here, or we are just trying to add the class name. Basically what we are doing, actually यहाँ पे कोई अपना क्लास नेम तो बना ही नहीं हुआ है. For that reason what we can do, and यहाँ पे क्या है, can't set property of null, cannot set properties of null string class name. Yes, वही तो मैं कह रहा हूँ, क्लास नेम यहाँ पे एग्जिस्ट नहीं कर रहा. If r is greater than this or less than 6, the DOM class name is night, day, and you can see, no, we are just creating that function inside our component. and trying to manipulating that. How could we manipulate directly from here? And cannot set property. Sixth line में error there. Oh shit. No. Line 6 is else. Mm. Let's read the question again. What we really want to do. This component tries to set h1 CSS class night. Okay. During the time of midnight to 6 hour in the morning. Okay. ठीक है यहाँ जब 0 से 6 के बीच में होगा मेरा R at that time my CSS will render or set the night as a class name and the day at all other time. Alright, it's working here, however it doesn't work. Okay, can you fix that component? अब ऐसा क्यों नहीं काम कर रहा भाई? क्योंकि we didn't declare the class name here. You can verify whether the solution is temporary change. Alright, that's not a problem. But can we do one thing? Name equals to null for right now, or we can say JSX can't JSX value should be either an expression or quoted. Hey, let me add the class name to be mm, days for now, or we can say in the double quote like day, and still not work. Actually करना क्या है? We really want to classing by ID. अब इस ID के इस कंपोनेंट को चूज कर रहा है and we're trying to set we're trying to set the local string of time dot local string, and we can do one thing. What we can do, class name dot. अब इसका क्लास नेम कहाँ से आएगा? इसके अंदर का अगला कंपोनेंट को तो नहीं फैच करना चाहता है. And let's do one thing. Let me use the paragraph tag, and inside the paragraph I'm going to add this and adding the class name equals to day. Still nothing happened. Can't set property of. Hey bro, what are you doing? Can't set property of null. मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा कुछ सच में. Document dot get element by id time. अब इस टाइम class name equals to nothing, or you can say can say if I don't want to manipulate this, I can do one thing. और I can do, देखो हम क्या कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, एक फंक्शन बनाते हैं जो मेरा इस टाइम को मैनिपुलेट करके वो रिटर्न कर देगा, एंड वी आर गोइंग टू डायरेक्टली हम टाइम को हमें तो क्लास नेम और क्लास आईडी बना के देनी है. For the testing purpose, still not able to answer anything. All right. If my
चलना लौड़े ना भाई रुक गए
एक चीज कर सकते हैं भाई, इससे ज्यादा हम क्या कर सकते हैं? Error occurred in the clock component. Consider adding an error boundary to your tree to customize error handling. और एरर आ क्या रहे हैं? Invalid DOM property class. Did you mean class name? Shit. I'm so sorry, guys. Let me check the hint. Rendering is calculation. It should try to do things. Can you express the same idea differently? Rendering is a calculation. It shouldn't try to do things. Can you express the same idea differently? तो इससे बात नहीं बनी ना, रिफ्रेश करते हैं एंड हम कर क्या सकते हैं यहाँ पे एक्चुअली? हम कर क्या सकते हैं? हम सोल्यूशन देख सकते हैं। यस, ओके ओके ओके। यहाँ से हम क्लास नेम को क्लास नेम वेरिएबल की तरह ट्रीट करेंगे, और अगर वैसे चेंज होता है तो हम क्लास नेम की वेरिएबल डायरेक्टली चेंज कर देंगे। काफी सही था। एक सेकंड में अपने फोन को साइलेंट कर दूं। नाउ शायद हमने जल्दबाजी में हमने जल्दी सोल्यूशन देख लिया, एंड दैट मेक थिंग्स डिफिकल्ट फॉर अस। अब हम एक वेरिएबल की तरह ट्रीट कर रहे हैं क्लास नेम को। इफ ऐसा है देन मेरा जो क्लास नेम हो जाएगा वो मैं नाइट कर दूंगा, अदरवाइज मेरा क्लास नेम इक्वल टू डे हो जाएगा। दैट्स इट। Inside in this example, the side effect modifying the DOM was not necessary at all. You only need to return JSX. So moving forward, the second challenge is to fix the broken profile. Two profile components are rendering side by side with different data. Press collapse on the first profile and then expand it. You will notice that both profile now show the same person. This bug, fix that. Okay. After expanding and collapsing, let me explain you again. Like what happened here, whenever I trying to, like here both have different person. If I collapse this, the both the person will become same. Like if I collapse this, the first time it's okay, but for the first one, if I collapse and again it's both the persons become same. And we are going to solve this error and make it bug free. All right, there is my app.jsx. They're just trying to fetching the name of all the name. And here is my profile of person panel. Get image URL from utility. What's the file? This is our image and the name of person. Image ID and the name, and both the things are, we're sending it as an object format. We're sending it as an object format. All right, to the profile. Okay, in the profile component, if I see the profile component, inside the profile component, I'm import the panel component. Okay, and import the image URL from somewhere else. Okay, and the let the current person. Okay, they are trying to creating the current person. And in here the profile, what's the profiles do is taking the person from where, from the taking the profile here, calling the profile, calling the profile with two props. Here it's called by the person as a prop. Okay, and if current person equals to person, and return the panel with header and the avatar. And header and avatar are my two different, but this is not a right way to call the person. Inside the header, it's return the h1 tag, current person dot name. What do you mean by they are not sending the prop? And here the avatar is just using a current person dot name. That's not a right way to do this. person.map, and this is my current person what they really want to fetch. Okay, this become my current person, and we are returning by this. Okay, I'm getting all the persons in the card. Return the mm, why they are doing like this? Now we are going to call both the things. Return header and avatar. And we are sending the current person as a prop. Your profile also has image ID to get the image. what we can do really here. Actually, we're trying to fetch the person inside here. Actually, person is not an array. We're sending it as an array, but it's not an array. If I send in it as an array, maybe it will work. If they are trying to fetch the profile twice, if they are trying to fetch the profile twice with the name of person and the name of ID, name of person and the name of ID, and I'm trying to fetch the profile is not in a single way. I'm trying to fetch the profile in a different. And if if I am header and the now here's my challenge, like, and this is a person with the name of that person, the name of that person, and the avatar of that person. If I'm going to hide that, what happened at the time, it got dis- it's get hidden. Or whenever I expand that, it shows the same name, not the different name. For that reason, I think everything is correct here. Let me refresh all the code. For 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 now, it's showing me both the thing with their name when the person came as an object. Why I'm using this as an, and I'm going to send the current name as a prop, and get the current thing here. It's working. Hey, actually I'm not depending on other functions that's outside here. So if I am only depending inside the inside the variable or the function to making our function pure, okay, but the error is different. It's showing me error like error occurred in the header component. Consider the error boundary of the tree. Customize error handling behavior. I don't know why this error is coming. Let's make it close. Now it works properly. I think I fixed this code, but do there any changes? Two profile components are rendering side by side with a different data. Press collapse on the first profile and expand it. You notice that both profiles now show the same person. This is bug. Find the cause and fix it. And we just fix out. And when the person is going to expand and close on the first, it's showing that person only. Actually, I send that person from global variable to the local, and I send that variable as a prop value, and working great. So let's change the buggy code in the profile.js. Okay, make sure you have read the top to bottom. Okay, now see the solution. What is the solution according to them? And they are sending the person as directly. They are not making things difficult, and they are creating the person dot name and avatar as the get person, and all the things are same. Okay, both the things are similar, but they are sending the prop directly, and we are just making one variable, then we are sending. Okay, both these things are same, but what they are trying to say, this is like the problem is that profile component writes the pre-existing variable called current person, and the header and the avatar components read from it. This makes all three of them impure and difficult to predict. To fix the bug, remove the current person variable, instant pass the information profile to header avatar by prop. You will need to add person prop to both the component in way down. Okay, both the things are same. Like what they really do, I'm not going to use this let function, I mean let variable, and I'm going to share it directly as the prop value. Okay, both the things now same, and that time also we did this same thing, but still, yes, everything's okay. But this error comes again. If I copy the whole code here from here and sending to here, do the error came? Yes, the both the error comes again. Let me explain. I would like to know about this error. Error occurring in the profile. Consider adding the error boundary to your tree. Customize error handling behavior. I don't know what about this error. Just collapse this all. Okay. So moving forward to the next bug. Moving forward to next bug. I think what this bug really want to say. Fix a broken story tray. Okay, fix a broken story tray. And here, the CEO of your company is asking you to add stories to your online clock app. Okay, we are going to add the stories like Ankit story, Taylor's story, Create story, kind of things to your Create app, online clock app, and you can't say no. Yes, you can't say no. This point is important, and you can't say no. You're required to do because he's your CEO. Okay, now you are right a story tray component that accept a list of stories followed by the create story placeholder. Okay, component that accept the list of stories that followed by the create story folder placeholder. Oh, sorry. You implemented the create story folder placeholder by pushing on one more fake story at the end of the story. array that you receive as a prop, but from some reason create story appears more than once. Fix the issue. Show more. Okay. Hey, 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 hey. कुछ ज़्यादा ही शो कर रहा है create story. Now, इतनी छोटू सा कोड एरर देख रहा भाई कितनी बड़ी है. Let's fix this. What's the error and we are going to fixing it. Like the stories, like this story is coming from outside from where, whatever the story tray is called from. Okay, inside this component story tray, and they have multiple stories, and we are required to push the story here. Let me collapse this first. Actually this making me difficult to code. All right. And so I have stories and story dot push with id create and label create story. Okay, but thing is like stories dot map, inside the return function we have unordered list with list item. What we are going to story dot map story dot id and story dot label. story dot id हमने की हर लिस्ट आइटम की जो हमें की ऐड करनी पड़ती है, and that key will be our story dot id and the label will be like story dot label. Okay, this is my list item. And like we are trying to add, we are just push the wait, what is happening here? And this key is duplicate uncounted. Two children with the same key create. Keys should be unique so that component maintain their identity access update. Non-unique keys of the child undetected. Okay, what we can do right now, we are not going to push the story from here. Okay, okay, we are not going to push the story here. And what we can do, it's not refreshing it right now. Every time we are creating one more list item inside this, we are creating, no, after this we are also creating one more list item with uh, name like create story and key we like create. Okay, okay. Now everything become create story. Basically, I'm not supposed to add the last story, or we call it default story directly. Still giving error. Mm, let card equals to. Now I'm going to card dot push equals to what I'm going to push. Should I push inside the card or inside the story? That's the point. Refresh this once again, and I'm going to create one let card equals to this, and I'm calling the card. That's so. Oh, no, no, no. What's happening right now? Actually, whenever the virtual dome is converting to the real dome, at that time rendering is occur multiple times. Okay, and I'm trying to send the directly to here. What if I push unexpected token? Why? Here card is an array, and why I'm not able to push this? Now it's working. Create story equals to this with DNA like create and the name like story. And use this as here. And that's it. What I did. And I can try one more thing. I can try card dot push inside this parenthesis. I'm going to push. Is this work? No, we are not able to push directly uh, to this. Huh, that works here. That is working. We are not directly push, but we can. Actually, my mistake क्या करा था? I was trying to using the curly braces. At that time, this is working as what? As a object, and we are not we are not supposed to push the object inside the array. But the thing is like this is an one element. We're pushing like one element. If I use directly here this way, still that's work. We can also work from here like two, and that's it. Okay, and having same encounters two children with the same key create. How two children? Like only one. So let's see our solution what they say here. Okay, in this solution they're creating one new inside that unordered list. They're just creating one new list item. Like I'm not going to use like this at the time inside the card only, but whenever it renders, okay, after rendering all these things, after rendering it, like they are rendering all this map inside here only, not outside that. An alternative is like they're creating, okay, they're just copy, they're just creating one copy of the array and using in that and taking a slice of stories and pushing inside the display to the item, then returning the same thing. So we have just completed. Notice that whatever the clock item is clicking and add it twice. Refresh this once. Hey, they tried, but how they get the answer like in this way? What what does it mean? Now here they get the answer like another list item and just add this. Okay, when I copy this code, and paste it here, and pasting all the code here. They are giving me a error. What does it mean? Why? Why this kind of partiality here? So we have just learned like how we're going to deal with this. We're not going to working with a single item at this place. At this place, we're creating in this way. Just copy this, refresh this, and add on all these things. Now they are giving me error. Actually, the compiler is not working properly. Sometimes they are giving not. Sometimes they are not giving error. Sometimes they are giving me error. What's wrong with this? Notice how whether the clock updates create story is added twice. This serves as a hint that we have mutation during the rendering. We're not supposed to mutate during the rendering. Okay. Static mode calls component twice to make this issue more noticeable. Story tray function is not pure. By calling push on the received stories array a pop, a prop, it is muting an object that was created before story tree. Starting rendering this makes it buggy and very difficult to predict. Alright. The simplest fix is not touch the array at all and render create story separately. If I copy this and pasting all the code here and still they are giving me error. Means like the compiler is not working properly, I think. So leave that thing. Okay, just focusing on the concept right now. Alternatively, we can create one shallow copied array and pushing all these things as we did lastly, and push these things separately. Like the thing that we are doing previously, like in this way. We are not shallow copy. We are just render all the code inside this card, and separately we push the new list item inside the card and works as similar as really we want. Okay, the same thing is like we did this right now, and for this too it's also working the same. All right, guys, this keeps your mutation local and render your function pure. However, you still need to be careful for the example. If you try to change any array existing item, you did have to clone this item too. Whether you clone this, whether you cloning this item, and or you can directly using it like this. you can move all this bulky code from the return statement to directly to card. And if after the after this expression, when this card renders all the stories, after that you can push new item, okay, separately. Like this should shows every time whenever the user click here and creating their own stories and all these things. What I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So all guys, it's used to create. It is useful to remember which operations or array mutate them, which doesn't. For example, push, pop, receive, and short will mutate the original array, but slice, filter, and map will create new one. Okay, slice, filter, and map. And what we did map function to creating new array. So all of these challenges we did today was tricky, but we work with all. But, so let's see moving forward to next concept. It's your UI as tree. What is this? And let's understand this new topic. This is our last topic of describing the UI. Till from last 2 to 5 days, we were just working on this, describing the UI like JSX, all these things. We didn't work with adding the interactivity like responsive and events. We just working on the UI designing. So today is the last topic for our UI, like your UI as a tree. Understand your UIs as a tree. Like last, we were facing some error here. In that error, what they are saying in last code, in the last story tree, we are facing that it's not showing right now, but it there was an error. There was an error like the tree is not same. The term that they were using tree, what's that? That's we are going to understand. Your React app, your React app is taking shape with many components being nested within each other. Okay, our React app is taking shape on the basis of what? On the basis of nesting of components. All right, guys. How does React keep track of your app component structure? Like what? How they're creating the tree, and that tree is what? That virtual dome actually. Actually, that's a virtual dome. React and many other UI libraries model UI are use UIs as tree. Thinking of your app as tree is useful for understanding the relationship between the components. Alright guys. And this understanding will help you debug future concepts like performance, the state management. So although guys, let me explain you. Open this Excel draw. There was one more editor. That was मारू और मारी. एक हमारे पास एक और एडिटर था. मारी MAR मारी UI design. I think I'm not finding the name of that. So working with, for now, let's work with this too. लाइक यहाँ पे डोम काम कैसे कर रहा होगा? ये हमारे पास मेन कंपोनेंट होगा and this component is connected to multiple component like component A, component B, component C, okay, and this all components are connected to another component like and F, okay. In this way, and they are just connected to this single one, okay. Okay, we are sending all this node with the help of what? With the help of props, and we are also managing the state for each. We are also managing the states like state for this layer, state managing here. We are also managing the state for this layer. Okay. The thing is working like this is our virtual DOM for React, or we can say like this is taking the structure of tree. Okay, whether you can understand all this thing in top to bottom or bottom to top, in both the ways. It's not like you're just working on the tree like from the top to bottom. You can also working with the same thing with bottom to top too. There is no compulsion between the both. There is no compulsion. Whether you can work with this or you can working with this. There is a no compulsion. Okay. Both the thing is same. Whether you use the bottom to top approach or top to bottom approach. Okay, it's all about to you. But for the complex projects, we are just considering to using the bottom to top approach in the in the complex project. In the complex projects, we are generally focused to working with this kind of approach. Okay, for the bottom bottom to top, bottom to we are working with the small component. Okay, then we, after working with a small component, we are trying to connect the components. Okay, like these two components are going to connect to this component with this parent component, where first we are going to creating the child components, then we trying to connect the child component to their parent component, and that time this parent component is connected to their main component. Okay, and both the relationship we work from this, and all the state is managing for both the layers. Okay guys, we are using this type of approach multiple times, not like this. We can work with this, but for the smaller projects like to-do list, or can be like any small project kind of thing. Okay, if we are trying to working with enterprise level of project, or may say like a high level project, that time we are using bottom to top, like where we working with bottom parts like small components for the first time, then we working to connect with their parent component, then we are connecting to the main component. All right, let's discuss in the discuss from the documentation like how they are trying to say. Your UI as tree. Trees are relationship model between items, and UI is often represented using the tree structure. For example, browsers use the tree structure model model HTML like DOM, and the CSS like CSSOM. Mobile platforms also use tree to represent their view hierarchy. Like as I have discussed here, both the things, like in React, component A, component B, and component C. Component A is my main component, and this main component is connected with two more bottom component, or we can say like child components, and this child component is connected here, and this is now converted to the React DOM. And what the React DOM is actually this is a virtual DOM, just replicating creating the replica of real DOM of HTML, creating the replica of real DOM of HTML. Which one? React DOM. Okay, React creates UI from your components. Add this example of UI tree and all these things. Hope you understand how I try to teach you, or make try to understand you this same thing. Okay, moving forward, like a browser. What a crazy glitch. Like are more browsers are mobile and sorry browsers and mobile platforms. React also use tree structure to manage the model of the relationship between components in the React app. These trees are useful tools to understand how data flow through React app, and how to optimize rendering and app size. Okay, all this thing, like render tree. Okay, the major feature of component is the ability to compose components of other component. Okay, compose the use the inheritance kind of thing. Okay, we are using the inheritance, like using the features of other components in that component. Okay, this tree like structures really works with. Like if I try to connect this with this two, like and say not in this way. If I want to use the component this in this too, like at the time I'm using this way. Okay, at the time here we are trying to use the same thing, same component of A in both the parent component with the help of with the using the feature of component. Okay, what we can do right here, we can just use, let me give you a real example here, like taking the text. Oh, yes, like this is component A, and this is component B, and this is component C, and this is component D. Okay, inside my component A, no, inside my component B, inside my component B, I'm using the component C and component D. Okay, inside my component B, I'm using the component C and component D. Okay, and here component A use the component C2. Okay, component A also use the component C. Okay, this kind of hierarchy we are trying to see, and this thing is also happening in the inheritance in the object oriented program, and that also work as a multi-layered inheritance or single layered inheritance, as if you know about that inheritance part. Okay guys, as we nest component, we have the concept of parent and the child component. Okay, we have the concept of parent and the child component, where each parent component may itself be a child of another component, itself be a child of another component. Like B is my parent component of C, D, and E. Okay, B is a parent. B is a parent component of B is a parent component of C, D, and E, and B is a child component of main component app. Okay, a B is the main child component for app, and the B is the parent component for C, D, and E, and C, D, E is the child component of B. All right. When we render a React app, we can model this relationship in tree known as rendered tree. And this is what this model is known as rendered tree. This model is known as rendered tree. All right. This is the top to bottom model, and this is the bottom to top model. Both the things are same. At the time of development, we are using the bottom to top model to creating the app in perfect way. In this example, this is my main component. This is my main component. Okay. This is my link. This is my code. Inspire me again. This is my code. And this is a simple text. Okay. First we are going to build this component. We have how many components here? We have component 1, component 2, component 3, and it's they are part of component child component. Alright guys. If you understand this, importing the fancy from fancy text, we are getting the fancy text from fancy text component. Okay. We are inspiration generator from the inspiration generator component. We are getting the inspiration generator from the inspiration generator component, and we are getting the copyright from the copyright component, and quotes. We are not using quotes here, but inside the inspiration generator we are getting these code components. Okay. We are trying to creating the multi-component application with multiple JSX files. Okay. We are render this fancy text component with the title. When I call this with this thing, the fancy component will take the title and text and creating the return statement with title and returning the fancy with the name of the things like fancy and cursive or title. Okay. And we generate the inspiration generator. Inside the inspiration generator we are going to creating the state uh, creating the creating the state of the child. Okay, how it's working? It's just I'm just trying to change the index whenever I click on the inspire me. Whenever I click on this button inspire me, on click, the next will be happen, and inside the inside the next we are trying to reset or set the index number by incrementing by 1, and we find the quote dot length, quotes index. But what's the use of this dollars percentage come? What's the use of this? Okay, okay. Actually, this dollar, this percentage sign, trying to uh, making the next statement in the loop, like inside the loop. The set index will not going to uh, increase the value more than the quote, the length. If the quote's length equals to quote index value, okay, what is the index value? That will be quote length. The quote will be that, okay. कोट वही होगा जो इंडेक्स के अंदर होगा, और इंडेक्स की वैल्यू हम 1 से इंक्रीज कर रहे हैं, और 1 से इंक्रीज करेंगे, बट द वैल्यू ऑफ इंडेक्स विल बी कोट डॉट लेंथ, और लेंथ से बड़ी नहीं जाएगी वो. And we are getting the quotes from here. Inside the quotes I have the quote as a number like this. Alright, hope you understand what is happening, how the thing is works here. Only the three codes is being showing here, and all these things is inside the loop of 0 1 2 3, because of this percentage code dot length. Okay, it's not exceeding the number from 3. Okay, it's not exceeding the number from 3. They are just inside the 3. That's why thing it is in the circular array. It's work like a circular array. If you learn about, if you have ever tried the uh, data structure, that there was a concept of circular array to making the things in circular, that is, this is work as a simple. Okay, one more thing. Whenever I send the props value, whenever I send the props value, I'm sending the prop as a children. We're not sending as a single prop. At that time we are sending this prop as a children, and whenever I get that inspire generator, we're getting as a multiple children. Okay, we're getting as a multiple children, and whatever the children I get here, I will showing at the last of the children, and I'm showing the children at the last, and that's why it's showing here. If I remove these children, I don't have this, what the copyright claim, and that I was sending from as a prop. If you require to send the component as a prop, if you require to send the component as a prop, at that time you are using as a children. This is more important topic. You require to understand this. If you require to send any props, you are going to sending is as a children, and you are getting the prop name as children here, and you are required to use these children here. Let me use this again. Like this. Correct? If I change this 24, it's changed. Hope you understand how things we are trying to understand. Like in this example, when I am when I am trying to use the component this and this inside here, I'm going to using as a children. Okay, where I'm trying to use it as a children, as I have used here. Okay, all the thing is same, like fancy text. How this fancy text is getting? The first will be my title, and the second will be my text. First will be my title, and the second will be my text. I'm sending fancy text with my title, and another is with my text. Text is this one, and the title. If I'm not using this title, the title gives the okay. If I'm not going to use the title at the time, the actually title works as what? Title is working as a class name. If I set the title at the time I'm using it as a title, as a at that time I'm using it as what? As a prop. Actually, title is working not as a prop value. It's just work as a flag kind of thing. Let me ask the chat GPT. Let me ask the chat GPT. Here title is not working as a prop. Like title is likely used as a prop. Its purpose to purpose demand on how fancy text component is implemented. Here is the detail. Like boolean flag. As a boolean flag. As I told you, title is not used as actually as a prop. It's just like a boolean flag. When you write title without assigning the title equals to true, that's work as a true. Okay, it's a treated as a shorthand for title equals to title true. Okay, it is a shorthand of title equals to title true as a JSX in the JSX, and title is working as a boolean flag. Okay, like this title. If the title is true, then it will be the fancy title, otherwise the fancy text. Alright, guys. ARIA rule. Okay, the title, that's why I'm thinking like why I'm using the title. This is a no role. Actually, title is working as a boolean flag. Wow, really? And we are here, we are using a ternary operator. We are using a ternary operator. Okay. Okay, now moving forward, here's the thing, like in this inside this inspire generator, this is my child component, this is my child component, and inspire generator calls both the things. Inspire generator calls both the thing. Inspired me again. And render the child, and we are rendering the fancy text inside the inspire generator. We are render the fancy text and the copyright inside the inspire generator. Now I'm getting the fancy text with the text equals to quote, with text equals to quote. Calling the fancy text with text equals to quote, and we are sending the text. Sending the text as a quote. A quote is coming from here. Like if I send the quote as title, it's get changed as it was. It get changed as it was. Okay. If I not sending the flag as title, it's showing me just like this. And the fancy text is a way to adding the css to text, adding the css to text. That's why here I'm using fancy text as a twice. First one is to adding the css to the text, or second one, first time I use the fancy text here. First time I'm using the fancy text in this. Here I'm using the fancy text for the first in the app, and here I'm using the fancy text in the inspire generator. Okay, inside the inspire generator. Hope you understand how things is working here. How things is working here. How we are calling the same component for twice. We are calling the fancy text in the main component also. We are calling the fancy text in the child component also. And we are sending the main component is sending the copyright as a children to the inspired generator. Let me show you. Inspired generator is sending the children as a children to the inspired generator. So moving forward, guys, from the example we can construct the above render tree. The tree is composed of nodes, each of which represent a component, app, fancy text, copyright, to name a few. All are nodes in a tree. Alright, the root node in a React render tree is the root component of the app. In this case, the root component is app and it is the first component React components React render. Each arrow in the tree points from a parent component to a child component. Alright guys, so moving forward, where are HTML tags in the render tree? You will notice in the above render tree, there is no mention of HTML tag that each component render this, because the render tree is the only component in the React component. Let me show you again. Here we don't have any HTML tags. Like here, but not that much. In the first app, we don't have any kind of HTML tags. We are just working with their components only. We were just working with components. React and the UI framework is platform agnostic. On the react.dev, we showcase example that render to a web which use HTML markup as its UI primitive. But React app could just likely render to a mobile or desktop platform which may use different primitives like UI view or framework element. What is UI view? UI view, an object that manages the content from rectangular area of the screen. Like or framework element. Windows.markup.runtime property. Like it's just like getting the width and the height of your device. Okay, it works just like width and the height of your device, not more than that. Okay, these platform UI primitives are not a part of React. React render tree can provide insight to a React app regardless of what platform your app rendered to. Okay, a render tree represents a single render pass of React app with condition rendering. We already know about this. A parent component may render different child depends on data passed. Your inspired color is this. Your inspired coat is this. Inspired color is this. Only showing two colors, not three colors. Okay. Here what we are trying to, we can update the app condition render either the inspired color or inspired code. We are sending the code like this, but we are going to add the logic here, but that's not showing the logic. Let me tell you how it's working. It depends on the first time when render inspiring it, that time it's showing the inspired text and rendering the inspired code. Okay, both the things happen quite similar. Let me take a screenshot for you. Both the thing works for similar, but the difference is like, if you focus on both the screen, if you focus on like this, inside the inspired generator we are just generating the fancy text. Okay, we are not adding any kind of condition here, but inside inspired generator we are using the rendering, condition rendering means what, we are adding the condition on the basis to render the, whether we render the fancy text or whether we render the color. Okay, it's depend on the clicks, like for the every odd clicks we are going to render the fancy text, for the every even clicks we are going to render the color. At that time we can work with this. Okay, in in this example, depending on which inspiration type it is, we render fancy text or color. The render tree may difference for each pass. Although rendering tree may differ across the rendering paths, this tree are generally helpful for identifying what the top level or the leaf components are in the React app. Top level components are the components nested to root components. Okay, top level components are nested to the roots component. Like in this example, this is my top level components, or we can also call it as a leaf nodes. Okay, nested to the root component. This all are connected to the root. Okay, affect the rendering performance of all the components beneath them. Often contain the most complexity. Leaf components are the near to the bottom of the tree and have no child component and other frequent rendering. Okay, let me do the same things for you. Actually, the top high level components are the component that is connected to their roots component. Okay, just like this. Okay, here both the fancy text and the image generator is my root component, and all those don't have any kind of child, like color don't have any child, fancy text has no child. These all are my leaf components. These all are my leaf components. Okay, these all are my leaf components. Identify these components and they're useful for understanding data flow and the performance of your app. Okay, this kind of understanding these things helping you to uh, maintaining your application in more better way, and you can understand all these things better. Okay, the model dependency tree. Okay, what is model dependency tree? Although relationship in React app that can be modeled with tree are apps model dependencies, or the trees are an app model dependencies. As we break up our component and logic into the separate file, we create a JS model where we export component functions and constants. Okay. Each nodes in model dependency tree is a model to each branch separate. Each branch represents an import statement in the model. Each branch work as a importing the things inside the top to bottom to top. Here we are using the bottom to top approach to importing the models. Let me tell you how these things work. Like Inspired JS is my separate model. It's not model. Now it's my actually this is working as a component. Color JS is my component. Fancy JS is my component. And we are importing this as a model. We are importing this as a model. We are importing this all in the inspired generator as a model. Okay. And this inspired generator is importing in the main component as a model. Let me show you all these things like how they are generating them. Okay. Inside the app.js, I have used three models: copyright, then fancy text, at the last inspire generator as the import. Okay, we are just importing all these things as a model, and we are also called this as a dependencies. My app.js is dependent on these three models, these three files. That's why we are calling it as a dependencies. Hope you understand what I'm trying to say. All right. Like this, the model dependency tree of for the inspiration app. For this application, these three are my dependency tree. For the inspire generator, these three is my dependency tree. All right. We have two kind of tree. First one is a rendering trees. How we are rendering the things. Second means we have dependency tree. How we are connecting our models to each other. Okay. We have two things. One is the rendering tree and another one is a dependency tree. Render tree for the different components. Okay. The root node of the tree is the root model. Okay, the root node of the tree is the root model. This root node of the tree is called root model, also known as the entry point file. This is my entry point of my file. Okay, app.js is my entry point of my file. It often is the model that contain the root components. All right, comparing the comparing to the render tree of the same app, these are similar structure but some notable difference. First is what? The nodes that makes up the tree represent model is not component. Okay, the node that makes up tree, the nodes that make up the tree represent models. The nodes that make up the tree represents the model. It's not component. Like exporting the things. Here also we are exporting the things, but we are exporting as a default. Inside this, I'm import the things as a model, but it's not my component. I'm not calling this as my component. Inside this is my component called inspire generator. Inspire generator is my component. Okay, if I create this, if I create a default like copyright component inside my copyright component inside my inspire generator, that will work as my component. If I using it as a separate file, that one I'm this called as a model, not a component. Alright? That is written here. Like the node that makes up the tree represent the model, not a component. Okay. Non-component model like inspiration.js, non-component models like inspiration.js are also represent in the tree. The render tree only encapsulates component that encapsulates the multiple components. Okay. Copyright.js append under the app.js, but it render tree. Copyright the component append as a child of inspiration generator. This because inspiration generator acts as a GSX child props. Acts as a GSX child props. How? Let me tell you again. Here I'm calling the inspiration generator as the child inspiration generator component or called model, and creating the new component inside the existing component and sending it as a props value. When you are required to send the component as a props to the another component, then you are going to send as a child component, and you are going to fetch the child component as a children props. Okay, and you are required to use that children props as in this way. After rendering your all those things, we are required to use that props here in this way as a children. Whatever the children is sending from here. Like if I'm sending as h2 hi. Okay. I'm sending I can send multiple components. Okay, if I send it like this, it's not work. Okay, it's not going to work. Okay, so moving forward, dependency tree are useful to determine what models are necessary to run React app. When building a React app for production, they are typically there. This is typically build setup that will bundle all the necessary JavaScript to ship to the client. A client is what? Client is a client server. Okay. The tool responsible for this called a blender. Okay, the blender is the tool that is responsible to controlling all the dependencies. Okay, the model tool ecosystem today's modern, I'm sorry, the modern tool ecosystem today's model, oh sorry yaar, today's modern developer tool ecosystem is huge, so it's useful to have the board idea of to make the main problem the tools are solving. If you jump on your favorite search engine and look for front-end development tool, you are going to hit a huge spectrum of result ranging from text editor, browser, and the types of pans you can use. Take notes. What they are trying to teach me. The understanding client-side web development tools. Actually, I want to know the dependency blender. Actually, I'm trying to know about the blender, what they are sending. Blender? Is it blender? Environment variable safety transformation bundler. No, it's I don't know why this word is here. Well, let's moving forward. Yeah. And bundlers are used to use the dependency tree to determine what models should be included. Okay. Bundler. What are bundler? What are tree bundlers? Yes. And that's the point. In React.js front-end development, रुक जा भाई. In React.js front-end development, the term tree bundler isn't standard. However, you might be careful of the tree shaking, model bundler, dependency bundler. Okay, all these things. For the model bundler, there are other tools that process your application code and dependencies into a single or few. For dependency includes Webpack, partial like Vite, like we are using Vite, and the Vite is the responsible to managing all the dependencies. That's why this Vite is a model bundlers. Okay, like parcel and the roll up, and tree shaking is like it's another tree bundler. Conceptual example bundler supporting the web components required. Before the models we are using required to importing the things before the models. When we were not using the import keyword, at the time we were using what required to importing the things, and that taking the time in the React application. So that for the now modern type of application, we are using the import keyword. Alright, guys. As your app grows, often the bundle size does too. Large bundle size are expensive for your client to download to and run. Large bundle size are delay the time of UI to get drawn. Getting a sense of your app's dependency tree may help to debug your tree issues, these issues. Okay. What will be the perfect way to understanding the dependency tree? Hmm, what happened? Let's moving forward here. Recap for this today's session. Trees are the common way to represent the relationship between the entities. Entities are the components and the all these tree or nodes. Okay, these are often used in the model UI. Render trees represent the nested relationship between React component across this single render. Okay, while conditional rendering, they render the tree may change across the different render with different props value components may render different child components. Okay, different props value may render the different child components. Actually, this thing is focusing on that boolean flag that we were discussing at that time. All right, guys. And render tree helps identify what the top level and the leaf components are. Okay, what are the top level of things and what are the leaf components. Actually, top levels are the components that are close to your uh, root nodes, or may call it root components. Okay, top level component affect the rendering performance of all components beneath them, and the leaf components are often re-rendered frequently. Identifying them is useful for understanding and debugging rendering performance. What rendering performance? Okay, dependency trees. This is the important thing. Like this, all are the dependency tree. Actually, this is the importing the modules from your to making your components better way. Representing the model's dependencies in the React app dependency tree are used to build tools to bundle the necessary code, ship an app. Actually, shipping the app is like been using for CI/CD, content integration and the content delivery. Okay. Oh, well, that is the more important for further. एक्चुअली होता क्या है मैं तुम्हें बताता हूँ जो CI/CD होता है ना जो इतना हवा बना रखा है माइक्रो सर्विसेज में वो सेम यही होता है बट फॉर नाउ एज यू creating the small application when you are going to creating the big enterprise application where multiple users accessing that like Hotstar whenever the cricket match is there more than 2 million people watching that match. Okay, like this much of traffic is going to how your how the your front end server or your back end server is going to handle that. Okay, and your application need to be very fast for your user. If there is a microsecond of delay for the user rendering, and that may cause the interactivity of the user. To handle all these things, we are using bundlers like Vite or Pascal, all these things to managing these things. Like when we are learning the Node Next.js, that is a framework of React.js, and Next.js helping in the routing, okay, to creating the multi-page application. Okay, actually React.js is creating the single page application, not the multi-page application. With the help of routing concept, we will able to create multiple multi-page application. No, multiple single page application. At that time we can connect multiple things. जैसे हम यहाँ पर components को connect कर रहे हैं ना, वहाँ पे उस जगह हम न्यू सिंगल पेज एप्लीकेशन को कनेक्ट कर रहे होंगे. अगर मैं तुम्हें एग्जांपल देता हूँ, जो मेरा रिएक्ट लर्न हो गया, ये जो स्लैश देख रहे हो ना तुम, इसको मैं सिखाऊंगा तुम्हें. जैसे भी ये रिएक्ट का सारे कॉन्सेप्ट खत्म होता है ना, उसके बाद एंड दैट विल बी अ टाइम टू क्रिएटिंग एंड मास्टरिंग दिस थिंग. ओके, डिपेंडेंसी ट्री आर यूज्ड बाय बिल्ड टूल लाइक बन यूज कर रहा होता है टू बंडल द नेसेसरी कोड एंड शिप एन ऐप. ओके, dependency tree are useful for debugging large bundle size and slow time to paint and expose the opportunities for optimizing the code of the bundle. Okay, एक्चुअली ये हेल्प करता है किसमें, अगर आपका एप्लीकेशन बहुत बड़ा हो गया, ठीक है, एंड यू आर रिक्वायर्ड टू चेंज और मेंटेन योर एप्लीकेशन, और कोई एक न्यू फीचर ऐड करना है, तो फिर उसमें आपको फटाफट कर लोगे, क्योंकि यहाँ पर आप मल्टीपल कंपोनेंट्स को एज अ मॉडल यूज कर रहे हो. ओके, तो फिर आपको सारा कोड को चेकआउट नहीं करना पड़ेगा, आपको जस्ट वहां पर जाकर के ऐड करना है एक न्यू कंपोनेंट, और यहाँ पर एंटर करवा लेना, दैट्स इट, और आप ऐड कर पाओगे. अदरवाइज इट बिकम वेरी हार्ड टू फेच द बग एंड करेक्ट दैट. ओके गाइस, this all about the describing the UIs. Okay, and from today onwards we are going to understand the adding interactivity to your application, जिसमें हम यूज इफेक्ट को अच्छे से जान पाएंगे, और कुछ इवेंट हैंडलर्स ट्राई करेंगे, ना कि हम डायरेक्टली HTML JS वाले इवेंट हैंडलर नहीं होगा. यहाँ पर कुछ डिफरेंट इवेंट हैंडलर्स हैं, उसको हम एक्सप्लोर करने की कोशिश करेंगे गाइस. फॉर दैट साइनिंग आउट, गुड बाय. और डिस्कॉर्ड चैनल को ज्वाइन कर लेना, एंड दैट विल डेफिनेटली हेल्प यू इन फर्दर वे. अभी उसकी कनेक्टिविटी बढ़ाओ यार, उसकी कम्युनिटी साइज बढ़ाओ. अभी 2 बंदे ज्वाइन हुए हैं यार, क्या कर रहे हो तुम सब. सो गाइस, मिलते हैं कल एक नई शुरुआत के साथ, वेयर वी आर गोइंग टू लर्न अबाउट द एडिंग इंटरेक्टिविटी ऑन रिएक्ट. हम देखो कितना आगे पहुंच चुके हैं. टुडे इज द 15th डे, और 30 डे तक तो हम कुछ ना कुछ तो अच्छा कर ही लेंगे. ओके गाइस, अभी कोई है जो मुझसे बात करना चाहते तो चैट पर आ जाओ. चैट पर आ जाओ, चैट पर. एनीवन इज हियर? हाँ, दो बंदे हैं यहाँ पे. एक तो मैं ही हूँ शायद. जो भी लाइव है, कैन यू प्लीज एंटर योर नेम at least you can enter your name. Hello, anyone is here? So leave it, it's already 5:30. I have to go somewhere else, so goodbye, see you again.